This is Holy Trinity, Anglican Church, Vancouver. Someone, possibly Abraham Lincoln, said, "You can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time." Karl Przywala says, if you try fooling God, if you try fooling Jesus, you're on a hiding to nothing. If you want evidence of that, how about verse 38 of our passage from Luke chapter 11? But the Pharisee was surprised when he noticed that Jesus did not first wash before the meal. We're not told that the Pharisee said anything about this, but nonetheless, Jesus knew what was going through his head. It's funny what we remember, isn't it? I can remember Mr. Fielding, the head teacher of my junior school, telling us about his holiday in France. How exotic was that? He showed us a statuette that he'd bought at a cathedral. But his point was that the back was left unfinished, whereas those on the cathedral's facade were finished all round, despite the back being hidden. God knows what we're like. Jesus chooses a down-to-earth and graphic analogy to illustrate this. Verse 39. Then the Lord said to him, "Now then, you Pharisees clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you are full of greed and wickedness." The outside is burnished clean. It looks good. But inside? Well, you know what happens to a mug if you leave it unclean inside, particularly in a hot climate. It grows a cure for an as yet undiscovered disease. Is it okay to serve someone tea or coffee in a cup that hasn't been washed inside? No, it isn't. Keeping up appearances is all very well, but does it reflect what's going on underneath the surface? The 1662 prayer book, in the context of the marriage service, talks of the dreadful day of judgment, when the secrets of all hearts have been disclosed. There's been something about the last year and a half that has made this more top of mind for me. As I've intimated before, perhaps it's that an absence of busyness has taken away the distractions we otherwise hide behind. I put a link to a video interview with Randy Newman of the C.S. Lewis Institute on Holy Trinity's Facebook page. About 20 minutes in, he says, "There's been this long tradition of believing that Jesus was just a good teacher, and he said really nice, palatable, comfortable things. Love your neighbour, be kind, turn the other cheek." And he did say those things, but those were not the majority of the things that he said. And the majority of the things he said were just so strong and unanticipated and powerful. And that's why people responded to him with such dramatic responses. In the Gospels, it's so very stark, but in our culture, it has become tame or declawed. Verse 40, Jesus says, "You foolish people." Verse 42, "Woe to you, Pharisees." Verse 43, "Woe to you, Pharisees." Verse 44, "Woe to you, Pharisees." Verse 46, "And you experts in the law, woe to you." Gentle Jesus, meek and mild. Verse 47, "Woe to you, because you build tombs for the prophets, and yet it was your forefathers who killed them." Who is the easiest prophet to honour? The answer is one who is dead, for he can no longer answer back. Do we do this? You can speak highly of people from the past. How about Cranmer, Luther, or Calvin from the Reformation? Or the Wesleys of the 18th century, or Wilberforce and Shaftesbury, the great evangelical social reformers of the 19th century. But is this honouring merely lip service, rather than being willing to follow their example? The experts in the Jewish religious law may have claimed to honour dead prophets, but Jesus said, "What about what you are doing to the living ones God sends?" Verse 49, "God in his wisdom said, I will send them prophets and apostles, some of whom they will kill, and others they will persecute." We can think of John the Baptist, rejected by the so-called experts and ignored by them. Peter and John, imprisoned by the experts. Stephen, martyred by the experts. Paul, persecuted all around the Mediterranean seaboard by the experts. And we think of Jesus, crucified at the hands of the experts. As Randy Newman put it, you had some group of people say, "Okay, he's the Messiah, and we'll follow him. We will drop our fishing nets, we'll give up everything, and we'll follow him." And then there's another group of people who say, "Okay, he's really evil. He's demon-possessed. We have to kill him." Gentle Jesus, meek and mild? I don't think so. Verse 53. When Jesus left there, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law began to oppose him fiercely. To quote Randy Newman again, "You don't make that kind of response when someone says you should be nice." Jesus provokes a reaction, one way or the other. Jesus cared enough for the Pharisees and experts in the law to be quite upfront with them. He sought to get through to them, and with some, for example, Nicodemus, he succeeded. With others, such as those in our passage, well, not so much. Verse 52, Jesus says, "Woe to you, experts in the law, because you have taken away the key to knowledge." At Advent we sing, "O come, thou key of David, come." And I hope we will get to sing it this Advent. Jesus is the key to knowing God, but this truth escapes the experts, even though he is the one to whom the Old Testament scriptures they so meticulously study keep on pointing. Article 7. Both in the Old and New Testament, everlasting life is offered to mankind by Christ. I think there's a danger in a passage such as this. It's a danger illustrated by the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector in Luke chapter 18. Jesus says, "You foolish people, woe to you Pharisees, woe to you experts in the law, and we think quite right too." But in Luke 18:11 we read, "The Pharisee stood up and prayed about himself, 'God, I thank you, but I am not like other men.'" Why has Luke included the 6 woes of our passage from chapter 11? I don't think that it's so that we can look down our noses at the Pharisees and experts in the law. I think it's meant as a warning to us, a wake-up call for ourselves. Jesus knows what we're like, and he wants us to own up to this and to do something about it. So many people appear to be sleepwalking through life, going through the motions, form-filling, ticking the boxes, doing as much or even a bit more than the next man and thinking, "That'll be all right." Is that you? Paul warns Timothy about having a form of godliness, but denying its power. This can even happen to the clergy. Perhaps we're actually particularly prone to it when religion becomes your job. Jesus can appear to be somewhat rough with people at times. But if he is, he's so for our own good. As Paul writes to the church at Rome, "The hour has come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed." Amen.
Until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O we Israel. safe the way that leads on high, and close the path to misery. Rejoice.